Optimize is over here trying to educate. Like they have a conference and they're like, come in, we're gonna train you on like how to have a whole team, conversion focused company. Like, good luck with that. Like, you're gonna spend so much money educating the market on like how to build a conversion team. Whereas you could probably just be doing it on, like they could just be doing fulfillment services and be doing $500 million a year because everyone wants to increase their conversions, right?
There is no exact playbook for growth.
People want to keep this secret.
For the most part, companies are successful because they've managed to excel at one or two channels.
I think a lot of times your growth is dictated by the market.
Word of mouth, though important, does not work when you don't have any customers.
I'm Dave, and get ready to scale or die. What's up, Growth Nation? Dave Rogemoser here, and welcome back to Scale or Die, the show where we uncover proven growth strategies behind some of the world's fastest growing startups. About 5 years ago in my entrepreneurial journey, I was just getting started and was running a little Facebook ad agency helping small businesses do Facebook ads. And I needed a landing page solution to help my Facebook ad campaigns work better. And I looked around and ended up signing up for a software I'd never heard of called Instapage. And fast forward 5 years from that moment, I still use Instapage over multiple different businesses. And today I'm excited because we have the CEO here himself, Tyson Quick, with Instapage, going to share a bit of his story. So Tyson, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here and share a little bit of my story.
I know, man. It's I think you were actually one of the first softwares I ever signed up for back when I was starting out as an entrepreneur. Didn't know anything, but I remember like the editor was what I was blown away with back then, and it was a really sweet experience.
Cool. How long ago was that? A couple of years ago?
Yeah, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, just when I was kind of getting started. When did you guys actually start?
So we launched, the business was formed in 2012, and then we went to market about 2014.
Okay, so it's probably like right around when you guys had launched. And
yeah, we've come a long way since then.
Yeah, very cool. So, I know it for landing pages, but I guess, in your words, tell us, what do you do at Instapage, and maybe where's the company at today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the founder, CEO of the company. So I do a little bit of everything, mostly overseeing the strategy, business growth, making sure that our go-to-market and sales strategy is, in sync, and we're prioritizing the roadmap to the best of our abilities. The company's come a long way in the last couple of years. We started out as just a software solution for building and testing landing pages faster to more of what we're calling a post-click optimization solution. That's really the intersection between scalable creation, optimization, and personalization to really empower marketers to be able to increase their conversion rates on specifically their digital ad campaigns and do so at scale. Very
cool. And how many employees do you have, and about how many users do you guys have roughly right now?
Yeah, so we are at 170 employees, just under that. And we are just about 15,000 customers, and we're really focused on the enterprise side of things now. So that's ramping really quickly. We have a couple hundred enterprise customers, anyone from Verizon to cool companies like SoundCloud.
That's very cool. Yeah, I want to kind of talk more about this post-click optimization and then kind of the shift to enterprises. Again, when I used it, it was like landing pages for anybody or for little guys like me. And I've kind of seen over the years like the messaging shifting, and I'm just curious what that's looked like as you guys have grown. But before we get there, so you started like writing code 2012, launched, you said kind of went to market in 2014. Yeah, how did you guys get your first customers?
Right, so we started off just letting a handful of people know that this product is going to be coming. These are friends, family, other entrepreneurs, and they were the first people to use it. But we gave them free accounts because we wanted to get user feedback. And then we got our first round of customers by doing a bunch of content marketing and just social media marketing, just out there letting people know that it's available. That obviously doesn't scale really fast right at the beginning. and the company itself didn't scale really fast right at the beginning. It was really a slow going slog. We had pivoted from a previous company and had run out of funding, and we're operating on very small, with very minimal amount of capital. And so it's just like me and two other guys, and we just kind of slogged it out for 2 more years, just doing a lot of content marketing, continuing with the social media stuff, got to the point where we could start doing some digital advertising ourselves and sending that traffic to landing pages and having a really high success rate with that.
When you guys were launching, creating it, what was like the landing page builder market looking like? Was it already like crowded? Were you kind of one of the first there? And like, how did you start to cut through the noise and like pull away and like make a niche for yourselves?
Yeah. So there was only one other company that started. So Unbounce and us started at they started about 1.5 years, 2 years before us.
Okay.
We came up with we identified the problem ourselves before we went out and saw like, is anyone else doing this? And then we found, there's one other company doing this, and we felt that it was still very clunky and at the beginning we wanted to make something much easier, something that was much faster to get a good enough page out, and focusing on the smaller side of the market, which is completely different today, whereas we've moved way up market and are focused on bigger companies. And so we kind of, us and Unbounce, started kind of the educational phase of informing the market, like what's the real important need here for doing this, and how do you go about doing it, and then a number of throughout the last couple of years, or from then till now, there's been a whole slew of competition coming out, and the main difference is we've moved away from being a landing page builder. You'll never see us talking about landing page builder. Like you'll never see that in any of our marketing pages unless it's like listing a feature, because the landing page building is only a piece of the solution that we've built now, right? And we like to more refer to what we've built now as an advertising conversion cloud. And even with the building side, we've gone much deeper. It's not about just building things. We have aspects of creation that are scalable. So things like Insta blocks, which is our templatized page blocks that are already ready to go. Things like global blocks that let you sync content across an infinite number of pages. And so it's much more than even a builder when you are talking about the creation aspects. But even furthermore, now we're building in logic and stuff that lets you identify audiences and say, if from this ad or if from this geographic region, show this content on the page or swap that section out. And this is also in line with our move to the enterprise, where we're selling the value more and not the tool, right? We're not saying, it's a landing page builder. Like we're saying you have a conversion problem, and our solution's here to fix that.
So from like a growth strategy, marketing strategy standpoint, I mean, you guys were like a no-touch software initially, right? Like you weren't doing any code, just like people come to the, and sign up for it right there.
Right.
How did you move from that to what presumably is like a very sales-driven, different kind of organization now?
Yeah, for sure. So the first thing that we had to talk about is pricing. So because you can't have a sales process until we rethought pricing a little bit. And one more benefit for enterprise on the pricing side of things is entrepreneurs like lose sleep over thinking about like, am I pricing my software right? The nice thing about sales is you don't tell them how much it's going to cost. Like you just experiment in real time. You're like, it's $30K. You might have doubled the price from someone else you gave it to.
Totally.
You're not going to know, right? And if no one's buying at that price, you're like, okay, well, I'll give you a discount, whatever. And you play around with that in real time, right? But we had to talk about like, what's the cutoffs? Like, what value are we going to offer? So we said, okay, we're going to any new features that we add that have real value, it's going to be enterprise only. We're going to get more restrictive on the limitations, like how many pages you have, how much traffic you have, and create even stricter cutoffs there. Once we have that, we're going to throw on customer success. We'll slap on customer success. So we moved one of our customer support agents over that was like one of the best to customer success. And we said, this is what we want you to do for success. People that sign up for this, like you're gonna do a demo with them, like a walkthrough, and you're gonna make sure that you do a one-on-one setup with them, right? And then they're gonna be able to hit you up directly to answer their questions. And then we just got it out the door, right? It was like we sold about $1 million, or I would say just under $1 million with like not an enterprise product. It was like 2 or 3 features we added, like we had like an audit log and like a few other just like enterprisey type things,
like security or like team management.
Yeah, like a little bit better,
like
bit better security and like audit log and like I can't remember, like one other thing.
Yeah.
And then customer success, and just started doing it, saying like, oh, here's enterprise, and we put it up on the website. It's like request demo, and I put someone on sales, right? I hired him, and I was like, look, our whole sales funnel for generating demand, that's going to take us another 6 months. So our marketing team had to reorient, build like sales collateral, like sales decks, and had to build funnels, like so we could generate leads, and then downloadable assets so we can present assets to enterprise, and kind of build this whole stuff out. But I was like, I'll hire you now, and just it's gonna be rough around the edges, but just make stuff happen. And we started getting some leads. You'll find that there is a percentage of customers, even that exists now, that want to purchase that way. They want to talk to someone. Now it's your job then to qualify it a little bit. So when they fill out the form, like who's this company, what's the size of their company? For us, we found that our magic number is how much do you spend on digital advertising per month, right? And it's important because a lot of people think it's like, oh, just size of the team. Well, for us, a lot of agencies actually only like 10 people, but they manage millions of dollars a month in ad spend for their clients, right? And so it's not always just big team size. So that's really what we did. We slapped something together and we started doing it. It was slow going, but we were learning a lot in real time. And while we were improving the marketing, the sales enablement type of material, and then it's just kind of it's been a increasingly growing system where a year and a half in, 20% of our total revenue is from enterprise, and like something like 60 to 70% of our new revenue is coming from enterprise now. And eventually we plan to be like enterprise only, and people are gonna be like, wait, what happened here? Like lead pages, I don't know if these guys like stagnated, flatlined, or went out of business, and you guys are this $100 million company. Well, because we went deeper on the problem, we increased prices, we built human relationships, and we owned the enterprise side of the market.
Love it, man. Yeah, I remember it was probably a year ago, I had this like big epiphany about Bounce Exchange. And I just like studied them for like a week straight. And I'm like laying in bed, staring at the ceiling. I was like, what is going on with them? Like they're an exit intent, they're pop-ups. And then you got other people selling it $7 for life. And it's like, what is the difference here? And that kind of started me on a journey of being like, okay, like there's a different place than this place we're all hanging out in. We got to figure out how to get there.
And matter of fact, people want to keep this secret. If you think about Bounce Exchange, they're an incredibly secretive company. You cannot get it. I've tried to get demos with them. All the information I have on them, I had to collect through like a third party and whatever. And because they know that we're a software company, and they're like, we don't want people to find out. We don't want to find people to find out our business model is really just like a streamlined agency pitching ourselves as a technology company. It is a technology company, but they're consumers of their technology. But the thing about Bounce Exchange that's exciting is even if you think about services, is people think that like, oh, if I go, and this is on the services side of things, not something you have to do, but you can do. If you go into services, people think like, oh, my valuation is going to be lower, no one's going to want to buy me, right? Like that tends to be what I hear from people and what I've thought of myself. But then I'm like, what's going on with Bounce Exchange though? They've raised like $80 million, whatever. And come to find out, investors don't care so much about if you have services or not. They care about gross margin. So if you can create strong gross margin with services, great. It's just as good as software. The reason that software as a service has a high valuation multiple is not just because it's software, it's because it has a high gross margin. If you can prove that you can do a high gross margin and it's has services, that's fine too. And the thing is, they're able to do that because they're like, we know how to use our software really good, and we just created a blueprint of how, oh, you're a media company, like here's our media blueprint, like here you go. And they want to keep that secret. They're trying really hard. I've investigated a lot myself too, because we're moving increasing in that direction, because I think a lot of marketing technologies would better be suited with that type of business model. Optimizely, by the way, is learning this the hard way. It's funny. I looked at Optimizely, I looked at Bounce Exchange. They're relatively, Optimizely is making a little bit more money, but they've had years on them and they've had more money raised. But it's funny because Optimizely started as a self-service product, like it got a little more expensive, got down to just 2 plans like us, eliminated that self-service plans, enterprise only. And now you're required on enterprise to have them help you with your first 2 experiments. And Bounce Exchange is like, nah, let's just skip that entire learning phase stuff and just do it for them because these people don't know what they're doing, right?
So Bounce Exchange, you have to use their team to set it all up.
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't even give you access to the software. Now, that model is not going to work for everyone, but it's interesting. It's just funny. Not everyone has to do this, but like I think that people are realizing more and more that there's a ton of money left on the table, but marketing teams are just overloaded. They're like, look, if you can deliver that value to me, like, sure, here you go, like, do it. You know what I mean? Like, here's 10 times more money too. But if you say, no, you got to do it on your own. Well, they're like, well, I got to train someone. I got to get educated on it. Like might be 2 people, 3 people, and time is money. And so it's really, they're not buying your software. They're buying your software plus all the overhead and time spent. But if you can deliver that to them instead, well, I think that in the long term of things, there will be a lot of products and services that after the market's matured and educated themselves, that like, more and more people will use it self-serve and do it efficiently. But in the meantime, like, what about all the people that want it now that, Optimizely is over here trying to educate, like they have a conference and they're like, come in, we're going to train you on like how to have a whole team, conversion focused company. Like, good luck with that. Like, you're going to spend so much money educating the market on like how to build a conversion team. Whereas you could probably just be doing it on, like, they could just be doing fulfillment services and be doing $500 million a year because everyone wants to increase their conversions, right?
Yeah.
Fortunately for us, our customers see us as not a direct competitors against like Optimizely because it's specifically advertisers who need the creation component as well. And they're focusing more on web apps. So, but it's a similar market, right? And whether you're conversion optimization or you're some marketing product, most of the time that's the case.
Love it, man. Love it so much. I got a lot to do tonight. Well, wrapping up here, we've got what I call the Salty 6, which is just 6 rapid fire questions for us to get to know you a little bit better and hear some of your insights on stuff. So you ready?
Yep.
We'll do that and then we'll head out of here. Okay, first of the Salty 6, what do you do for fun?
I do a lot of stuff for fun. Travel mostly traveling.
Where do you travel? Where do you like?
I go to, this year I went to 4 music festivals plus Burning Man.
Cool.
It's kind of my outlet. It's kind of my freeing myself from daily routine and technology. And those are everywhere from like Michigan to Nevada to California. And then we have offices in 3 countries. So I travel to those a couple times a year as well.
Very cool. What's the best conference you've gone to personally?
Best conference, SaaStr. I really love SaaStr. I think that Jason Lemkin's done a great job. I like being around that many people. They're also building similar business models. It's so business model oriented that almost all the talks are really relevant, right? You can jump in, learn some stuff about marketing, learn some stuff about pricing, learn some stuff about success, enterprise, like list goes on. And then just crazy amount of networking that you can do there.
Yep.
A lot of SaaS companies are consumers of SaaS. I like to joke that we're a SaaS company running on SaaS.
That's so true. So true. What podcast do you listen to?
Actually, I don't listen to podcasts actively. What I do is I send a ton of articles to Pocket. It's like a mobile app called Pocket. Yep. And they have this awesome like text-to-speech system that sounds really I mean, it's really impressive how far this technology has come.
Yeah.
And I hit the gym up and it will just read me out these articles that I've saved. So I've kind of tailored my own kind of readable magazine or my own kind of audio book. And I read a lot of those. I know last year it said that I had read enough articles that it was equivalent of like 62 books or something.
Wow.
And based on, and it will archive ones after it is done reading and just jump to the next one. Because I'm listening
all
to
audio.
Yeah, like 90% audio. Sometimes I'll read it, but I like when I'm walking to work, when I'm walking back, like if I walk my dog, all the time. Like I'm just a consumer of information. Not all of it's useful information, like for personal development. A lot of it recently has been like politics and stuff that's interesting to me, but most of it's like business and stuff and science and stuff, but kind of my interests spread a couple categories.
Cool. What book are you reading right now? Like what's on your nightstand just as a personal reader?
Yeah, so I just started, I'm a couple chapters into, I believe it's called High Growth Handbook. I think it's High Growth Handbook. Oh, I think it's over here. That's what it is. It's put out by Stripe actually. And I forget the guy's name. I think his name's Eli. Anyways, he was at like a whole bunch of companies during their growth phases. So I think like Twitter and a couple other companies during their like big expansion period. And I wish I would have had this book like 5 years ago, because a lot of the stuff in there is stuff that we've learned the hard way, but it's so spot on. That's a really great book. It's one that you can jump through to. It's not like exactly linear. You can jump in and like, oh, what's some lessons about hiring or org structure or, go-to-market and stuff.
All right. Okay, Michael Jordan or LeBron?
I'm gonna go with Michael Jordan. Legacy. Sometimes legacy, like it's like sometimes the original movie is just always gonna be the best, even if it's the new one is like fantastic, people are just gonna hate on it, right?
It's like guys our age. I mean, we grew up like with the posters on the wall and the jerseys, and it's an emotional thing for me at this point.
Yeah, it just seems like, to me, it just seems so like such a legendary, magical figure, right? Now it's like so much information and stuff. Like there's a million different personas and people of sports and whatever. It's harder to pick out like an icon, right?
Yep, totally. All right, last question of the Salty Six. What's one person that you'd like to have dinner with, dead or alive, to have an interesting night?
I would probably pick like someone, like I said, I'm interested in politics. I think I would pick like JFK or like Martin Luther King. I think these guys are just obviously incredibly inspirational, not focused on business, but just what can I do to make the world a better place, right? And kind of similar to business, but a complex system that is even more complex than a business, right? Like people and thing about politics and politicians is they have to deal with like human emotion more than like a business does. I mean, there's emotion involved in business, but it's a whole different ballgame. It's so much more unpredictable and stuff. So I think those guys it would be really interesting to sit down with and have a few beers with.
That would be cool. Well, very cool, man. Well, seriously, this has been like hugely impactful for me, and I'm excited to go implement a lot of this stuff. So seriously, man, thank you so much for the time. If people want to follow you, hear what you're up to, where can they go find you?
Yeah, hit me up on Twitter. Been active on Twitter for a long time. One of the original OGs, actually. I think I was like in the first like 50,000 or so people.
Are you just at Tyson because you were like the first Tyson?
Well, it's at Tyson Quick because I changed my name later. I had a different one. It was like Quick Tyson or something. Because this was literally before any celebrity was even on Twitter. It was like when Kevin Rose from Dig was the number one guy. And I got to the point where I think I was like the top like 10,000. And then of course it's a long story since then, but so I changed it later, but Tyson had been taken. So now it's just Tyson Quick.
Gotcha. Very cool. Well, awesome, man. Well, yeah, thank you again. And thanks to everyone for watching or listening. Scale or Die. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll see you on the next one.
All righty. Cheers.